Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and to another tutorial of bead crochet ropes. In this episode or in this tutorial I am going to be showing you how to make this necklace. So the specialty of this necklace is it is a bead crochet rope necklace which has been joined in the center here, and I've added a dangle here, and I finished it with a clasp here. So this is worked in two parts. First we make one part of the tube, the crochet tube, then we make another part of the crochet tube, and when you have completed the length that you want, I'm going to show you how to attach these two ropes together to make it into one rope. And after doing this, I'll be showing you how to attach the dangle here and also how to add the clasp that I've added here. So in this tutorial, everything is every other part of your necklace can be according to your choice. You can use any pattern here, any bead. I have used size 8 bead and cotton thread. You could use any pattern, any bead, you can use any kind of clasp, any kind of dangle, but my attention will be on showing you how to do this part of the necklace where we do the joining of these two crochet tubes. So with that, let's begin to show. Let me begin showing you how to go about making this bead crochet necklace. The materials I'm using for this crochet rope are these silver color. It's not transparent, actually. It's a kind of the silver color bead, and I think the size might be like around size 8, because I am not sure from where I got this, but it looks like size 8 to me now. And I'm using cotton thread. This is size 20 cotton thread, and I'm using this color because it will show good on the camera, and also because it doesn't make any difference when we add it on to that, it's not changing the color of the beads. So I'm using that one. And the crochet hook that I'm using for this is this one. It's 1.3 mm or size 3 in a steel crochet hook, and I will be needing a big eye needle to thread on the beads onto this thread. And also I'm using a starter rope of 6 beads. So these are the 6 beads that we have: 2, 4 and 6. So it's a starter tube for starting the tube. So I'll start first I'm just going to add all the beads onto the thread. So not any particular length or anything, but because when I'm starting, I haven't planned whether the necklace is going to go around the neck or it is going to have a clasp at the back. So I'm just going to start threading on the beads. And because it is a single color bead, so we can add and remove whenever, you can add more beads also easily whenever necessary. So with these materials we can proceed making the bead crochet rope. Here you can see I've added several inches of beads onto the thread, and the beads is still attached to the spool of the thread like usual that we do in bead crochet. And because I'm going to be using a starter rope to start my bead crochet rope, we have to put on 6 beads of a different color. Okay, 6, because this is a 6 bead rope, and this one that I'm going to make is also a 6 bead rope. So we have to, when I finish threading all the beads that I need, I have to put on 6 beads of a different color, and the 7th bead will be of a completely another color, because these 7 beads are going to be removed once we start with this, and then we detach these 7 beads and the rest of the rope will remain with us. So detailed videos for how to use a starter rope and more in-depth explanation is available in my other tutorials, or I have separate tutorials. I will be putting the link for those in the description box, so you can even look into that. So now let's begin this rope. So to begin, first what I will do is I will explain to you what is here. So this is also a bead crochet rope of 6 beads in circumference, and in this bead, this is the first, in this row especially, this is the first bead, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So these are the 6 beads of this rope, and this is the last bead that we crocheted into. Now this is important because here what we do, in order to join the new thread here, we have to first insert our hook to the right side of this bead here. Okay, so insert your needle to the right side of the bead here, and then bring in the new thread. So this is the new thread. Keep a little bit of tail, say about 5 or 6 inches, and take that thread outside like this. Okay, once you are done, see, this is the place where we do the attachment. So now this will also be here because this will keep moving. Again, I will be using a tape around to keep this in place. I'll be putting on a tape here also. Okay, so this way our attachment is done now. To begin this crochet rope, we will have to start crocheting from the first bead of that rope. So these, you know how to find out which is the first bead and the last bead. It depends on the starter rope that you're making. So wherever you're finishing, you will have to just keep your place, and you have to understand which is the first bead and which is the last bead of that rope, which will make it easy for you to do this starter rope method. So insert your needle as usual. However, like we do the slip stitch, bead crochet slip stitch, insert your needle to the left of the bead. So this is my method of my way of doing the slip stitch. So I also have more detailed videos about in-depth and more clear instructions for making the bead crochet rope itself, so you can look into those videos also. So now let's get back to this one. After we insert the needle to the left of the first bead that we are going, we are just going to do the slip stitch as usual. So that's the first slip stitch with the bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I have made the 6, I have added the 6 beads here, and I have come to the place where I added the first bead. So if you remember, yellow was the first bead I added. So there are 6 beads here. Now continue in a spiral. No need to do any attaching. So just continue in a spiral. So this will be the 7th extra bead that we added here. So this is 1, I'm trying to get into the space here. This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so 2 rows are done now here. So you remember I started with the gold bead and I added 5 more of the beads of this rope. So from here it is the usual method. So you will keep making the bead crochet slip stitches for some length you can make, and then after that we can come back and detach the new rope from this starter rope. So I'll get back to you after I make a few inches. I have now made one part of the chain. So this is still, you see, on the starter rope, and now since I've made this length that I wanted, I'm going to remove it from the starter rope because I need this starter rope to start my next part of the necklace. So let me just show you how many inches I've made for one side of the necklace. So starting from here, starting from the beginning, so it is about 8 inches plus. Okay, so it could be I just stopped it at random, and so that's the measurement that I got. So you can say it is just a little bit more than 8 inches, or I guess it's just 8. So 8 it's 8 inches. So I will make the other chain also 8 inches. So meanwhile, now I have to remove this because I need this starter rope to start the next one. So I'm going to start detaching it from here. So I'll show you how to detach it also quickly. But again, like I told you, there is a detailed video for each step of this in my playlist, so you can look into that also. So now I'll have to take out this tape. So maybe I'm finding it a little hard. I guess I'll just very carefully cut away the tape, which might remove both the layers. So that's okay, because anyway I'm going to be I can tape it again if I want to. Okay, so now that I've removed the tape, now my aim is to see, this green thread belongs to the starter rope. So my aim is to detach this one. So let me look at only that one. So the first bead that we have to remove is the yellow color bead. So I told you this is one color bead which was separate from the rest of the color. So that is the first bead that you have to remove, and this will just remove very easily, just like that. There's no other thing here. As you put your needle inside it, it will just come out. Now the second bead that I have to remove is this one. So this gold color bead is the one I have to remove next. Now in order to remove that next bead, to make it easier to pull this out, there is, you can see a thread here to the side of the bead. See here. So that's the thread that you should aim for, and just put your needle, the pin or the needle under that, and pull it out like this. When you pull it out, it will become easy for this thread to come out. So we are taking out the second bead now. Again, now the next bead. So these are the steps, and I'm doing this a little faster because it's going to take too much of watching time. Because I already have a detailed video. I recommend that you look at that video to get an in-depth understanding of how to remove these extra beads and take it out from the starter rope. When you do that, see, it will come out, and we will have the perfect starting one. So this is the start. That means this is the last bead that we have crocheted. So this is the first bead. 1 2 3 4 5 and 6, and this one is the one for you to identify which is the first bead and the last bead. See, this in between there will be a gap here like this. Okay, so that is not necessary as of now, but I'm showing you for purposes of giving you an understanding of that. So I'll leave this aside now, and now after this, again I have to start making a same length rope with this beads, and again I will need the starter rope, of course, and I'll need these beads also. So these beads also have to be strung on if I want to use the starter rope. So let me do that next. here you can see I have made another piece also the same length, so which is like I mentioned earlier, so 8 inches. So both of them are 8 inches rope, and this end is the starting end, the one which I removed from the starter rope, and this is the end where I stopped crocheting. So this piece, when I finished crocheting, I have not made any other slip stitches without the bead, so I have just stopped wherever I have just stopped it and taken out this tail thread just and kept it just like that. And in this one, you see I have just stopped crocheting here. You can see this part here, and let me zoom this in a little bit. Okay, so as I was crocheting here, I have stopped here in between. That's the same thing that I did for this one also. I stopped in between and took out the thread. For this, I'm not going to cut the thread. I will be continuing using the same thread with the beads. So there are still some more beads on this which I will be using for joining, so it will be there. So as I finish this, I've just put a stopper here just to keep my place. And before I proceed, in this one I want to point out the last bead that we crocheted. So see this sticking out bead, I think I used the light color here, so it's a little difficult. So this bead here is the last bead that I crocheted, so that one I have to remember. And in this one also, as you can see, this is the, see this where you see the pin, so this is the last bead that we crocheted. So these two beads are important because I'm going to keep those two beads next to each other like this. Okay, so this bead and this bead, so I'm going to keep it like this together, and I'm going to tape it. So this thread here, this tail thread will be, oh sorry, I actually want to keep this bead, that is the first bead in this row. Okay, not the last bead. I was actually talking about the last bead, not the last bead, this first bead in this row. I will be placing that bead, and the last bead of another tube, I'll be placing it together like this, and I'll be taping it because I'm going to continuing crocheting around this, making bead crochet stitches around this after taping them together. So before that, let me just tape them together. I'm taking the tail thread of that one, and this, as usual, the tail thread is still here, but I just want this first bead of this second tube together like this. If you can see, let me point it out. See this one and this first bead of this row, I want it together. I want to place it together like that, and I want to tape it together. So I'm just putting on, I'll be putting on the tape like that. Here once again, see this one and this one are here. Those two beads I'm pointing out because I'm not going to be using, sorry, see this bead and this bead. So I'm pointing out to those two beads because those two beads I'm not going to be using. Here you remember there are 6 beads, here there are 6 beads, but in this row I'll be making only a 10 bead crochet rope. That is where I am joining. So this is the thread that I have to use. Since I just put the pin here, I am just taking that out now, putting back my crochet hook back. Okay, now I'm just going to bring my 10 beads down. So because it is earlier it was 12 beads, now it's going to be only 10 beads. So I'm just going to keep the 10 beads in place here because I should know that I'll be completing one row. When I finish these 10 beads, I should have completed one row. See, in this one I won't be crocheting into this bead and I won't be crocheting into this bead, so those two I'm going to leave. So from the right side tube I'm going to make my join here in the left side tube, and my join will be exactly like how we do the slip stitches. So I'm just going to insert my crochet hook to the right of the bead. I'll bring my bead down and I'm going to make the crochet slip stitch. It could be a little tricky to hold two pieces together and work, but take your time and do it slowly. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So I have made 5 stitches in in this side row. So the 6th one is this bead. I am not going to work into that bead. Instead I am going to move to the left this side of the tube. So in this also, as you know, I am not going to work this bead. Instead I am going to start my work here. Okay, so those are going to remain inside the tube and they will be hidden. So there are 5 more beads here, you see. So these 5 beads I have to use for this side of the tube. So again 1, maybe you need to tighten that up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have 10 beads here now. So I'm going to continue making the slip stitches for one more round with the same 10 beads. So this is the first of the 10 beads. So I'm going to again go into that to make my next stitch. So it's going to be a little challenging here. Just let me take the help of another pin maybe. I'm not sure how. See here, my crochet hook has to go into this space, right? So this is the bead that I have to work into. So let me see if that will help here. Okay, so now I have to bring down more beads. So for convenience sake, you can just bring down only 10 beads, so we will know that we are finishing the row. Okay, so just got 10 beads in this working area. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. So little, because of the shape. So I believe that's 8. Nine, and 10. Okay, so with the tube, which was 12 bead tube, means both 6 and 6 together have now become 10 beads. See here, if I count backwards, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 beads are there. So these 10 beads now should become 8 beads. So for that, what I will do is I'll start the next row by adding a bead. So I'll just bring down only 8 beads at this time. So just putting my needle down to get my 8 beads in place. As it is, my thread is all twisted. So 2 4 6 and 2 more beads. So I've got only 8 beads in this row. So what I will do is I'll be skipping 2 of the stitches without adding any beads. So for the 8 beads, for the beginning of the round, I will make a stitch with the bead. So I'm making a stitch with the bead. So for this second one, I'm not going to add a bead. I'm just going to make a slip stitch. So you see, I have dropped 1 stitch now. So I have reduced the stitch number now. So this will be second, this will be third, this will be fourth, and now at this place I can reduce 1 more. So there is no particular reason why I'm doing it here, but I'm thinking this is the halfway, so let me reduce 1 here. So I'm reducing 1 more here. Reducing means I'm not going to add a bead in that while I crochet this place. So here when I do this, I'm not going to add a bead, I'm just going to make a slip stitch without a bead. So that is the meaning of when I say I am reducing. So now in the next one, I'll have to add the beads. So 4 more beads to add. So 1, let me see if my place is correct. Yeah. 2, 3, Okay, so this round became 8 beads now. So I'll make the 8 bead round once again, just because we want to get the flow going properly. So one more round without one more round of just 8 beads in all the stitches. So let me point out the 8 beads now. I'm just going to place the marker here. See, this is 1, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, and this one is 8. So now from 10 we have reduced it to 8. So this round I'm going to make another round of 8 beads. So before I take out this, let me bring down 8 beads. So I have a count this is 5 plus 3, 8 beads. So if I have a count of the beads, in my working area, I'm more confident, because I'm sure that, I'm doing the correct numbers. So that's why I want to have only those in this place. So I'm beginning now a round of 8 once more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we have 8 beads here again. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now that 8 bead has to become a 6 bead rope now. So to make it into a 6 bead rope, again I will be reducing 2 beads in this row also. So let me bring down 6 beads for me to crochet. So that will give me a idea of doing my stitches correctly. So in 2 places I am not going to be adding beads. So in this row, in the first place, I will add the beads. I will add a bead and make a bead crochet slip stitch 1. So in the second one, I'll skip and I won't add a bead. I'll just make a slip stitch. So I've added 1 bead. This is the second bead. This is the third bead. And I think I'll make the fourth bead and then I'll fourth one, and in this one I'm just going to make a slip stitch only without a bead. And I'll finish the last 2. Okay, so see, after finishing this row, I'll point out the 6 beads that I have. See, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so only in these 6 places we are going to crochet now. So my aim was to get 6 beads in to make the double rope into a 6 bead rope. So now I'm going to crochet as usual into all the 6 beads to whatever length we want, but for this I'll tell you where I'm going to stop. So we are going to be working in a spiral here again, just like a normal bead crochet rope. Three, 4, 5, and 6. So from now it becomes easier because we have got only 6 beads in each row. We are going to be making only 6 beads. See, 1 2 3 4 5, and this is the 6th bead. So I think at least for this necklace, I think another 2 rows at least I should make. 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I have made 2 rows of 6 now. This is the 3rd row of 6. So 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So I have made the join here now. So I'll take out the tape and set all the beads properly and then show you. So here I'm stopping here, assuming that this length is enough for my necklace, but if I need to I can continue because I have more beads and thread added, but I'm just going to stop here for the moment to show you how the join has come. So let's see the join now. Take out this tape and you can see, so this is the thread that I have to weave inside. So this is the join. So here you can see that some of the beads are like, you know, hidden inside. Now that's only because, you know, we are sometimes skipping a bead, but this one which is hidden inside, it can come out. It is part of the bead work, but it got hidden inside when we were you know, when I was doing the stitches. So I'm just using a pin, to set right the beads. And again, this seems to be disappearing inside always, but I guess it will become all right once, when we add the danglings. I think these will all sit in place. Okay, so this is again, this method of joining is something that I discovered myself. This method of joining, as we are doing the second rope. See, there are places where both the ropes are done separately, and then they will bind it off. That means the stitches will be finished off, and then adding new thread, there is a method to join it, which is somewhat similar. But here in this, I am not cutting off the thread from one of the working ropes. Instead, I am using the same thread and beadwork, and I am continuing to make the join. So this is what I have learnt myself. So could be, that it may not be sometimes very perfect, or it's maybe because of the sizes of the beads. The bead sizes here, are not very similar in size, because this is some unbranded seed beads, so it could be because of that. But overall, the effect, when you wear it as a necklace, that will all be not noticeable at all. Maybe this side it is a little bit like that, but on this side it is definitely neat. And I'm really happy because of the technique that I used, where I don't have to wind off the thread. Instead, I can use the same thread and beadwork to continue joining. So this one, for the moment, I'm just going to leave it like that. And this thread, which is the tail thread of one of the ropes, I'll take a needle and weave it inside. And on the other side, see, on the other side, this is the place where we have to add our end end caps, or if we are whatever clasp we are going to add, this is the place where I am going to add that one. So just let me move away everything else and show you the effect of what we have just made. So this is how the necklace will be. And I'm going to add more beads here, some statement pieces. So I'll get back to you when we do that part. So after adding 3 rows of 6, I have decided to stop here, because for me this length of the join is enough. So to end this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make slip stitches without any beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 stitches without adding any 6 slip stitches without adding any beads. In order to join them together, I'm just going to slip my needle into one of the spaces from the first stitch, and then I'm going to make a chain and pull out the thread and cut it. So I don't need the thread anymore for here, so I'm just going to cut the excess thread by leaving about 2 inches of tail and take it out. So this is my end, which I will have to again weave it back into this space here. So when it comes to that point, I will do that again when we are going to add the tassel part of it. Okay, so this one is nothing again but to weave it back inside, I'm just going to thread it onto a needle, and I'm going to weave it back into the tube. So into the tube, and not into any of the beads, into the tube and only inside the thread work like this. So make sure that your needle comes out only from the thread and not through any of the beads again. So I'm just making zigzag stitches in different directions so that the tail thread will get buried inside. Yeah, and don't pull the thread too hard also, otherwise it will change the shape of the tube. So when we do that a few times, I'm just going to cut my thread and I'm going to leave it. So this is the place where I'm going to add the tassel, and here at the back this is the place where I'm going to add my clasp here.